Chapter 347. On the surface of the burial mound, a stone tablet cracked open, and Yi Chen jumped out with the destruction sword in his hand, landing on an even bigger stone tablet nearby. Focusing his eyes, Yi Chen's gaze landed on Blood Demon and Blood Sword, who had just escaped from the surface of the ground. A cold light flashed in Blood Sword's eyes as the killing intent spread out. His pitch-black pupils started to turn red as he locked onto Yi Chen, his cracked mouth looking extremely creepy. Blood Sword. Blood Demon's lips moved slightly as he sent a Jin Yuan message to Blood Sword. Blood Sword tightened his grip on the sword hilt, no need to say more. This little bastard's life will be mine. You support me from the side. You. Being looked down upon, Blood Demon was a bit annoyed. But seriously, right now, he was indeed not Blood Sword's opponent. The combined damage from Yi Chen and the Blood Evil Beasts had reduced his battling power by at least 20 to 30%. There was only one Blood Demon Pearl left in his storage ring, which could only be used in a life or death situation. A forced smile appeared on his face as Blood Demon said, "All right, you will be the main force, and I will support you. I hope you can kill him with one attack." He thought to himself, This guy is not that easy to deal with. If I want to kill him, I will have to pay a price. Wait until both of you are badly wounded, and your battling power will be greatly reduced. Then, don't blame me for being cruel. All of your treasures will be mine. 1 against 2. Although it is a bit difficult, it is not impossible to wound one of them. That thing is coming. Dispelling the thought in his mind, Yi Chen's body flashed as he flew toward the fortress. It ran away. Blood Demon was a bit confused. When he heard the noise underground, he could not help but be shocked. There were at least 3 to 4 Blood Evil Beasts rushing over. He did not expect Yi Chen to be one step ahead of them. With that thought in mind, Blood Demon was even more scared of Yi Chen. He said to Blood Sword, "Let's go as well." Inside the fortress, Yi Chen said without beating around the bush, "There are Blood Demon creatures rushing over from the burial mound. I suggest you leave now. Otherwise, you will not be able to leave in the future." Blood Demon creatures. What do they look like? Even you can't handle it? Little North asked in surprise. Yi Chen nodded, "They are very powerful. Almost no one under the Sea of Souls realm can handle them. Even I am not their opponent. They are shaped like snakes, but they do not have heads or tails. They are as thick as an arm, and dozens of meters to hundreds of meters long. Their attacking speed is incredibly fast. It's as thick as an arm and dozens of meters long. It can't be a Blood Evil Beast, right?" Chi Bei Duo's faces turned pale as if they had thought of something. Blood Evil Beast? Yi Chen couldn't associate the thin blood shadow with beasts. De Bei explained, "Blood demons are born from the blood and resentment of humans or beasts. Blood Evil Beasts are born from the essence and resentment of blood demons. Blood Evil Beasts are born from the essence and resentment of blood demons. Blood Evil Beasts of the same level are many times more powerful than blood demons. Extremely powerful Blood Evil Beasts can even transform into beast form. That is their ultimate form. Once a Blood Evil Beast transforms into beast form, anything of the same level will be its prey, including humans. So powerful." Yi Chen hadn't seen any beast-shaped Blood Evil Beasts in the mass burial mound. Presumably, they were all ordinary Blood Evil Beasts. But, ordinary Blood Evil Beasts had the power to kill them. If they were to run into beast-shaped Blood Evil Beasts, it would be almost certain death. Yeah, Blood Evil Beasts are the top predators in the Blood Demon battlefield. But, the probability of them appearing is very low. They only appear once in dozens of years. Since they have come out, let's leave quickly. I guess it won't be long before those hidden astral reaching realm experts come to the Blood Demon battlefield. Hidden astral reaching realm experts should be extreme astral reaching realm experts. I guess only a few of them can contend against blood-evil beasts. Yi Chen nodded. He had already reached his goal of going to the mass burial mound, so there was no need to stay in the blood demon battlefield any longer. Moreover, he had heard Thunder Freer say that the closer one approached the limit of thunder mentality, the harder it would be to comprehend. Normally, one could only go to the first of the 3 layers to comprehend it. That was the origin of the thunder mentality. Blood demon battlefield was a broken space without any sky. Who? Thousands of miles away from the Demon Defiance Fort, next to a conveyor stone door, a red whirlpool continued to speed up. Countless human figures disappeared within. He has come out. Didn't Master Jin Huang and Master Rock kill him? Things are not looking good. Let's have the soul-chasing bird follow him immediately. Yi Chen had calculated everything. He knew that Jin Huang would not have made any preparations, since the blood demon battlefield was huge. Even if he went in, he might not be able to find Yi Chen. Once he came out, he would be out of Jin Huang's sight. Therefore, there must be some spies outside. Ha! Killing one was killing, killing two was also killing. Yi Chen took out his blue longsword and slashed at the astral-reaching realm expert whose soul power had sensed something strange. Ah! He has found me. The Bloodstone Islands had 36 islands in total. Before Yi Chen entered the blood demon battlefield, there were dozens of groups of people chasing after him, and each group had 3 astral-reaching realm warriors. Therefore, when the dozens of groups were divided into 36 groups, each group only had 1 astral-reaching realm warrior. Only the main island of the Bloodstone Islands had 2 astral-reaching realm warriors. Right then, the astral-reaching realm warrior who was about to release the soul-chasing bird had just made a move when a sharp sword chi pierced through the air. The extreme speed made him extremely frightened. Rumble. With the support of the mid-rank great sword, the sword chi released by Yi Chen was unstoppable. It cut open a gap on the edge of the island, and that astral-reaching realm warrior was immediately cut in half. What? Who is this guy? He even dares to kill the outer master of the floating island. What a powerful sword chi. He must be at least a top astral-reaching realm warrior. Don't mess with him. Top astral-reaching realm warriors are something that even rank 7 martial institutions are afraid of. If we mess with them, there will be no place for us in the whole South Rudra region. Everyone on the island was discussing, but no one knew who Yi Chen was. Even if they had some suspicions, no one dared to say anything. Looking around, Yi Chen was not surprised at all. The Windy Nation was one of the weaker ones among the 36 small nations, but it still had about 10 astral-reaching realm warriors. A relatively powerful small nation like the Rudra Nation would have at least 30 to 40 astral-reaching realm warriors. Adding them all together, the 36 small nations would have at least 600 to 700 astral-reaching realm warriors. The top 10 medium nations would have even more astral-reaching realm warriors, at least 2,000 to 3,000. The top 4 nations would have more astral-reaching realm warriors than the 36 small nations and top 10 nations combined, more than 5,000. Therefore, in the whole South Rudra region, there would be close to 10,000 astral-reaching realm warriors. Adding the astral-reaching realm warriors who did not belong to any martial institutions and liked to travel around, 20,000 would not be a problem. However, among the 20,000 people, the ones who could be called top astral-reaching realm warriors did not exceed 50, including the top 10 sword artists and 7 blade artists. Extreme astral-reaching realm warriors were even fewer, which could be counted with 2 hands. A top astral-reaching realm warrior was still quite intimidating. Even rank 7 martial institutions would not want to mess with them, unless they had an extreme astral-reaching realm warrior. Of course, rank 6 martial institutions would not care about top astral-reaching realm warriors, since they had Sea of Souls realm warriors. If a Sea of Souls realm warrior wanted to kill a top astral-reaching realm warrior, he would be able to do so from hundreds of li away. However, Yi Chen dared to kill even the outer master of the floating mountain martial school. Regardless of his background or his insanity, he would not be someone to be messed with. Shoo! Extending his body, Yi Chen broke through the air and left the Bloodstone Islands. Above the endless lake water, clouds and mist curled up. The true spirit continent has 3 layers. The first one is the surprising sky, which only astral reaching realm warriors have the power to enter. The second one is the extreme void, where only Sea of Souls realm warriors can survive. The third one is the closest one to the outside world, which is where life and death realm warriors are active. Although my power is at the top astral reaching realm, I still cannot go to the extreme void. What was in the extreme void, Yi Chen did not know, and what was in the surprising sky, Yi Chen did not know either. Right now, he was going to the surprising sky. A beam of blue light flashed in the sky as Yi Chen broke through the clouds and rushed 10,000 meters above the clouds. There seemed to be a thin layer there. Break! Condensing his Jin Yuan, Yi Chen pointed at the thin layer. Puff! The thin layer was broken, and endless thunder and lightning poured down, which contained a horrifying heat and sharp wind blades. Thunder Yuan Qi, Fire Yuan Qi, Wind Yuan Qi. Yi Chen knew that these were all kinds of Yuan Qi in the surprising sky. Although the Yuan Qi below the surprising sky had different elements, it was actually very complicated and not very powerful. Even clasping Yuan realm warriors would be able to compete with it. However, the Yuan Qi in the surprising sky was extremely pure, without any impurities. The second the thin layer was broken, under the impact of all kinds of Yuan Qi, even peak-level late-clasping Yuan realm warriors would be washed into ashes. Only the protective Jin Yuan would be able to handle this kind of pure Yuan Qi attack without being damaged at all. Flashing his body, Yi Chen flew into the surprising sky, and that thin layer was quickly repaired. This is the surprising sky. Yi Chen looked over and saw that there were only a few colors left in the whole world. The Thunder Yuan Qi was that crystal blue, like a blue river, washing everywhere, clearly separated from the other Yuan Qi. The Water Yuan Qi was crystal green, interweaving with each other. The Fire Yuan Qi was crystal red, and wherever it went, the horrifying heat could burn everything. Traveling through all kinds of Yuan Qi, Yi Chen found the rare Wood Yuan Qi. Sizzle! 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 Once the Wood Yuan Qi touched Yi Chen's protective Jin Yuan, it reacted immediately. It squeezed into his body and pushed out all the impurities in the Wood Yuan Qi. Pure Wood Yuan Qi contains the vitality of the wood. Looking carefully, the arrangement of the Wood Yuan Qi is very mysterious. With my understanding of the wood mentality, I can only see about 80% of it. Some of the things are very hard to understand. Yi Chen let out a breath. He knew that it was just like what Thunder Freer had said. If he wanted to train his mentality to the extreme, he could only do it in the surprising sky. The other places would be flawed after all. As for the extreme void sky above the surprising sky, it was the place to train the profound meaning. As for the top sky, Yi Chen did not know what kind of secrets it had. Closing his eyes, Yi Chen sensed the arrangement of the Wood Yuan Qi, hoping that he could learn the true meaning of the wood mentality from this arrangement, so that he could prepare to reach the extreme astral reaching realm. Chapter 348. On the 6th day after Yi Chen entered the stunning sky, the first extreme astral reaching expert arrived at the Bloodstone Islands. He was wearing a white robe and a bamboo hat. As he walked, he seemed like a fluttering white cloud, carrying an indescribable sharpness. The leader of the 7 great bladesmen, the white-robed bladesman. It's the white-robed bladesman. I heard that his saber intent has already reached consummation. He is good at the state of wind. With one saber strike, the saber chi is like the wind. It is hard to defend against, and it is everywhere. Sword artists and blade artists are the easiest to become extreme astral reaching realm warriors. Among the known extreme astral reaching realm warriors, there are 3 who are either sword artists or blade artists. But, if we were to talk about the most powerful extreme astral reaching realm warrior, it would be the head of the top dozens of sword artists, the core head master of the Heartless Martial School, Pei Yudao. It's hard to say. The white-robed blade artist has the record of killing 7 late astral reaching realm warriors with one blade attack. No one in the South Rudra region has been able to break that record. Everyone on the islands was shocked by the arrival of the white-robed blade artist. As long as the Sea of Souls realm warriors did not show up, the white-robed blade artist would be equivalent to the king of astral reaching realm warriors. His deterrent power was even greater than that of a rank 7 martial institution. Every martial institution would take pride in raising an expert like the white-robed blade artist, since it was not easy to raise a Sea of Souls realm warrior. It would require a huge amount of luck and talent. Blood-evil beasts are hard to come by in decades. Inside their bodies, there is a blood-evil stone that can train the willpower. The more powerful the willpower, the higher the chance of reaching the Sea of Souls realm. God is helping me. The white-robed blade artist's residence was quite far from the Bloodstone Islands. This time, he had come to the Star Regional Lake in search of some spirit herbs. Who would have thought that he would hear the news of a blood-evil beast appearing in the blood demon battlefield, so he immediately rushed over. The blood-evil stone inside the blood-evil beast was a key to breaking through to the Sea of Soul realm. Talented people could become Sea of Soul realm experts even faster, and experts stuck at the peak of late astral reaching realm would have a sliver of a chance to break through. It was simply a must-have item for martial artists under Sea of Soul realm. The second layer of the blood demon battlefield rejects Sea of Soul realm experts. Inside, extreme astral reaching experts are the kings. Even if one's luck is bad, one can still obtain 1 or 2 blood-evil stones. Restraining his excitement, the white-robed blade artist stepped out and entered the blood-red whirlpool. Second floor of the blood demon battlefield. Blood sword artist and master blood demon didn't teleport out, they stayed in the demon-defying fortress. 5 years ago, in the Black Dragon Empire's auction, a blood-evil stone suddenly appeared and sold for more than 400,000 mid-rank soul stones. That stone was not that big, but it was enough to make the core master of the Floating Mountain Martial School become an extreme astral reaching realm warrior, and have the hope of breaking through to the Sea of Souls realm. If you and I can get a blood-evil stone, it would not be hard for us to become extreme astral reaching realm warriors. It would be impossible to say that the blood demon was not tempted. Otherwise, he would not have stayed in the fortress. Blood Swordsman said, "Do you think we have the strength to seize the blood-evil stone? It is impossible to take the blood-evil stone, but it is not impossible to get the blood-evil stone. When all the blood-evil beasts get out of the mass burial mound, that will be our chance." The Blood Fiend Stone was not as useful as the Blood Fiend Stone, but as long as there were enough of it, it was still very useful. Blood Fiend Stone. Blood Sword was a bit tempted. Reaching his current level, it was almost impossible to make any progress. If the willpower could be trained, then it would be much easier for him to comprehend the mentality, which would also be useful for his sword intent. More importantly, the willpower would be the key to breaking through to the Sea of Souls realm. Who would not want to become a Sea of Souls realm warrior and be on the same level as the rank 6 martial institutions? By then, the whole South Rudra region would be his backyard. And the blood demon did not invite the blood sword artist out of kindness. He was willing to split the loot equally, but just in case. If there were more blood-evil beasts in the deeper parts of the mass burial mound, then the two of them would have a higher chance of escaping. If one of them ran into a blood-evil beast, then there would be no chance of survival. Alright, it is settled then. Don't play any tricks. Blood Sword was still a bit scared of the blood demon. The blood demon laughed, "You don't have to worry. If we work together, then we will both benefit. If we split, then we will both lose. You and I both understand this logic. Ha! Wait till this is over, I will make that brat pay a huge price." The blood sword artist looked cold, his face twisted. Hearing him, the blood demon was secretly gloating. His identity was a bit special, and he could not show himself in front of the world. Therefore, he could only chase after Yi Chen, and did not dare to destroy the Sky Cloud Martial School directly. If he did that, then he might be surrounded by a lot of powerful warriors, and might even attract the attention of Sea of Souls realm warriors. However, the blood sword artist was different. It was not the first time he had destroyed a martial institution, and those Sea of Souls realm warriors did not care about it. There were a lot of martial institutions in the South Rudra region anyway, so one more or one less would not make any difference. The third sky. The first sky, the surprising sky. The pure Wood Yuan Qi is the closest to the origin of the wood mentality. This is indeed true. Outside of the surprising sky, trying to learn the wood mentality from plants would be unimaginably difficult. But here, all of the mysteries are contained within. All I need to do is to learn it face to face. In just a couple of days, Yi Chen had made great progress in his wood mentality. Of course, it was because of his comprehensive ability, but it was also because of the surprising sky. Green lotus sprout. Opening his eyes, Yi Chen's pupils shone with a hint of green light. Chin. The blue longsword was taken out of its scabbard, and a beam of blue sword light merged with the endless Wood Yuan Qi. Then, something shocking happened. Amidst the Wood Yuan Qi that was like a green river, a green lotus slowly grew. The process that seemed both real and fake made people feel as if they were watching a green lotus seed grow into a green lotus. Shortly after, a lotus flower bloomed in the center of the green lotus, revealing a faint purple color. Green lotus sky reaching. After throwing out a sword attack, Yi Chen's second sword attack followed right after. The green lotus seemed to have eaten a great tonic, growing to dozens of meters tall within a second. The lotus reached up to the sky, and its roots dug into the Wood Yuan Qi. Hu! Slowly letting out a breath, a smile appeared on Yi Chen's face. With the green lotus sword art as a reference, it was indeed much easier than creating his own sword movements and mentalities. In just a couple of days, his wood mentality had almost reached the same level as his thunder mentality. It had also reached its limit, and the eighth movement of the green lotus sword art, the green lotus sprout, was even more powerful than the sky-shattering clouds, and even more powerful than the kill heart sword attack. There seems to be a problem. The thunder mentality has reached its limit, and it is starting to be out of sync with the cloud mentality. The wood mentality is the same, and it is starting to diverge from the water mentality. It seems like once I break through the scope of the mentality, everything will automatically separate. Only when my realm is high enough can they continue to complement each other. Ever since the thunder mentality had reached its limit, Yi Chen's self-created sword movement, the sky-shattering clouds, was no longer dominated by the cloud mentality, but by the thunder mentality. The thunder mentality even started to reject the cloud mentality, thinking that the cloud mentality was a burden that would stop it from breaking through to a higher realm. I will call you Greenwood Sword. Among the three swords, only the destruction sword had a name. Yi Chen thought for a while, and decided to give the blue longsword a name that was easy to understand, Greenwood. It is not that easy to break through the scope of the mentality. Let me start to train the water mentality. In the stunning sky, there were only the more common elemental energies, such as metal elemental energy, wood elemental energy, water elemental energy, fire elemental energy, earth elemental energy, thunder elemental energy, wind elemental energy, and so on. The ethereal elemental energy was almost extinct, and cloud elemental energy was one of them. Among all the Yuan Qi, the water Yuan Qi was more like a river. Some of the water Yuan Qi was like an ancient well without any ripples, while some had huge waves, and some were sparkling. All the water-related sceneries outside the shocking sky could be seen in the water Yuan Qi. Some of the sceneries that could not be seen could also be seen and sensed. Astral-reaching realm warriors use mentality as the king. Once my water mentality reaches its limit, combined with the wood mentality, even extreme astral reaching realm warriors would not be able to do anything to me. There were 3 conditions to become an extreme astral reaching realm warrior, and Yi Chen had already fulfilled 2 of them. One was to have a mid-rank defensive artifact and an attacking artifact, and the second was to have his mentality at an extremely high level. If it were not for his cultivation, Yi Chen would have already become an extreme astral reaching realm warrior. Unknowingly, another 5 days had passed. There were a lot of astral reaching realm warriors gathered on the Bloodstone Islands. They had all heard about the appearance of the blood evil beasts in the blood demon battlefield. None of them were prepared to leave, but they did not dare to go in recklessly either. They wanted to see if they could find their own fortune. The core master of the Heartless Martial School, Pei Yudao, is here. Someone in the crowd yelled, and everyone looked over. Above the Star Regional Lake, a human figure flew over at an extreme speed. Shoo! The figure landed on the nearest island. He was wearing blue robes, carrying 2 swords on his back. His long hair fluttered in the wind, and he looked to be in his 30s or 40s. Pei Yudao was extremely low-key. He did not even look at the crowd as he stepped into the blood-red swirl. Soon, another 2 people arrived at the same time. The one in the north was wearing a big red robe. He had a bulky body, and as he moved, a fierce blade aura spread out from time to time, leaving blade marks on the surface of the lake. The one in the south was even more aggressive. On his way over, he purposely released a powerful chi flow, which smashed into some of the astral reaching realm warriors on the way, but none of them dared to say anything. The core master of the Fire Spirit Martial School, Gold Rock. The core master of the Floating Mountain Martial School, Shen Tujue. They all say that Gold Rock is aggressive, but Shen Tujue is even more aggressive than him. Thinking about it, the Floating Mountain Martial School is the leader of the 6-rank 6 martial institutions, and Shen Tujue himself is an extreme astral reaching realm warrior. It is inevitable for him to be so arrogant. Everyone stood far away, discussing in a low voice. Shen Tujue, I heard that the core master of the Floating Mountain Martial School, Jin Huang, was troubled by a brat. I wonder if it is true or not. As a core master of a rank 6 martial school, Gold Rock was quite well informed. After all, Yi Chen was not a nobody. He was the #1 warrior in the Hidden Dragon rank, and his fame among the young warriors was unparalleled in the past 1,000 years. It would be hard not to notice him. Shen Tujue sneered, just a little bastard. This time, I am here for the blood evil stone, and I will take care of him along the way. I, Shen Tujue, would like to see how many heads he has. Hee, be careful not to fail miserably. Gold Rock teased. This kind of small character is not worth my attention. The possibility of failing miserably will not happen to me. After I kill him, I will go and destroy the Sky Cloud Martial School. I believe the expert behind him will not go against the Floating Mountain Martial School for a dead martial genius. Shen Tujue didn't put Yi Chen in his eyes at all. This time, he had volunteered to kill Yi Chen in the Blood Demon battlefield. In any case, this matter was nothing more than a trivial matter to him. He could settle it with a wave of his hand, so why wouldn't he do it? As the 2 entered the Blood Demon battlefield, the number of extreme astral reaching realm warriors had reached 4. Someone else is here. I have never heard of this person. It seems like the hidden extreme astral reaching realm warriors in the South Rudra region are not the ones on the surface. The 5th extreme astral reaching realm warrior had arrived. Chapter 349. The astral reaching realm warriors in the South Rudra region are getting weaker and weaker. These people are not even worth 2 or 3 attacks from me. His long black robe fluttered in the air. The speaker's voice was dry like wood and stone, sounding like 2 pieces of flint colliding with each other. His eyes were full of disdain and cruelty. Brother Whitebone, the blood demon, has been in the blood demon battlefield a lot. Let's go in and meet him first and learn about the situation inside. Then, we can discuss the plan to kill the blood evil beasts. There was another person right next to the black-robed man. His robe was purple, and there was an abstract drum embroidered on his chest. Just like the drum, his body was extremely short, and his round belly was like a huge millstone. The black-robed man waved his sleeves. Sound wave, I will leave the task of finding the blood demon to you. I don't have the time for that. My goal is the blood evil stone. As for the plan, I don't need it. The short man with the big belly was indeed one of the 108 ghost warriors from the 9 ghost cult. He forced a laugh, since the white bone ghost warrior was one of the 3 most powerful ones among all the ghost warriors. He had always been arrogant, and it would be impossible for him to discuss the plan. So, he said helplessly, all right then. Go in. With both of his hands behind his back, the white bone ghost warrior lightly flew into the blood-red swirl, and the sound wave ghost warrior followed. No one on the island could recognize them. Shocking sky. There was no day or night, and the inside was filled with amazing colors at all times. These different colors were clearly separated from each other, and did not interfere with each other. Water is both hard and soft. When it is hard, it can break through mountains and drown the land. When it is soft, it flows without a sound. This is the limit of the poetic perspective of water. Soaking in the water Yuan Qi, Yi Chen closed his eyes and tried to feel the mysteries of the water Yuan Qi. From time to time, he would throw out a sword attack, simulating the things he had learned. The sword attack he had thrown out seemed normal, but once it was infused into the water Yuan Qi, it immediately brought up a huge wave. A long torrent of water shot out directly, wreaking havoc everywhere. The torrent slowed down and suddenly turned into a small stream, flowing without a sound. A peaceful and gentle poetic perspective rose up. 2 hours. 6 hours. 1 day. 3 days. After 3 days, Yi Chen took out his greenwood sword. He shook his wrist, and the bright blue sword light was warm like water. It was like a clear spring, but also like a flood. Rumble. All of the water Yuan Qi in the area exploded under the influence of the sword light. Every single one of those water drops could kill an early astral reaching realm warrior. The concept of water has finally reached the limit. Who? Slowly letting out a long breath, Yi Chen opened his eyes. In the past, his eyes were sharp, but now, there was a hint of gentleness in them. It was like a diamond that had lost its edges and corners, or a gem that had lost its extravagance, returning to its original simplicity. I wonder how powerful the Green Lotus sword art would be when I combine the extreme water mentality and wood mentality. With the same set of sword skills, the stronger the concept, the more powerful the sword skill would be. Now, Yi Chen had comprehended the concept of water and the concept of wood to the limit. If he took another step forward, it would surpass the scope of the concept. Even he couldn't estimate the power of the combination. Green Lotus Mountain splits. The water Yuan Qi was separated, and a massive green lotus-shaped sword light was thrown out. Right then, all of the water Yuan Qi in the area seemed to be a bit messed up. Buzz. A horrifying sword intent spread out like a tornado, spreading out at an extreme speed. It was something that Yi Chen had not expected. Completed sword intent. The sword light sliced open the river-like water Yuan Qi and the metal Yuan Qi that was connected to the water Yuan Qi. Yi Chen turned a blind eye to it, as all of his attention was focused on the changes of the sword intent. After absorbing a huge amount of sword-shaped plants, Yi Chen's sword intent had stopped at around 97%, while the completed sword intent was 99%. Do not underestimate this little bit of difference. According to normal progress, it would take at least 1.5 years, or at most dozens of years, for Yi Chen to reach the completed sword intent. Yi Chen had a feeling that no matter how many sword-shaped plants he had, he would not be able to reach the completed sword intent that easily. He would be able to reach 98% at most, which would be very close to the completed sword intent. After all, once the sword intent was completed, it would already be the limit. Judging on power, the completed sword intent would not be as powerful as the completed sword intent. It would just be a little more experience and comprehension, which would allow him to reach the next level. There is a misty longsword in the middle of my eyebrows. It is extremely surreal. The soul ocean was the place where the soul power resided. Yi Chen had almost noticed the abnormality in there within a second. He was a bit surprised, as he had never heard of anything like this happening to the completed sword intent. Was it inevitable, or was it just a coincidence? Or did it have something to do with the Battle King's sword intent? Especially the immortal mentality. After thinking for a long time, Yi Chen still couldn't figure it out. Only at this moment did he realize how lacking his own knowledge was. Actually, he couldn't be blamed. Sky Cloud sect was merely an 8th grade sect at its peak, and the strongest among them were astral-reaching experts. They themselves didn't know many things, and couldn't compare to a 7th grade sect with a profound background, not to mention a 6th grade sect with thousands of years of history. Living in such an environment, the things Yi Chen knew were limited, and the high-level knowledge was even more of a blur to his eyes. Before the completed sword intent, its might wasn't inferior to other people's completed sword intent. Now that my sword intent has reached completion, its might has completely surpassed the scope of the completed sword intent. Yi Chen didn't think about the things he couldn't figure out anymore. He only knew that because of his comprehension of the mentality, his sword intent had naturally broken through the shackles and rushed into a whole new realm. If he could contend against extreme astral-reaching experts before, then the current him wouldn't need to be afraid of any extreme astral-reaching expert. He had a premonition that the abnormality in his soul ocean was his opportunity, a sign that he was ahead of others. Blood Demon Battlefield, Mass Burial Mound. White Robe Blade Artist, you've been here for so long, but you still haven't taken care of a single blood evil beast. It seems like you're not worthy of your reputation. Shen Tujue blew away the incoming blood evil beast with one palm attack as he mocked the White Robe Blade Artist. The White Robe Blade Artist frowned. Although he was the first one to arrive at the Blood Demon battlefield, the blood evil beasts inside would gather at the mass burial mound after slaughtering human experts. There were rarely any of them alone. With his power, dealing with one blood evil beast was already a bit difficult, not to mention 2 or more. Hurricane Cut. Being mocked by others was always a bit annoying. The White Robe Blade Artist activated his Jin Yuan and threw out a blade attack towards the blood evil beast's thin earthworm-like body. Shoo! Shoo! The air vibrated, and the blood evil beast's body was split into 3 parts. Only by taking out the blood evil stone can the blood evil beast not recover. The White Robe Blade Artist squinted his eyes as he waved his long blade in a crisscross pattern. A triangular hole suddenly appeared on the blood evil beast's body. The powerful blade chi sliced through that triangular blood shadow, revealing a fist-sized blood-red stone. Shoo! Using his left hand, the blood-red stone landed in the White Robe Blade Artist's hand. Finally got a blood evil stone. The White Robe Blade Artist let out a breath. Speaking of which, he had to thank the other extreme astral-reaching realm warriors. Without them, he would have been attacked by all the blood evil beasts. It is only one blood evil beast. Let me take care of it. Shen Tujue's body was covered with a dark purple light. Invisibly, the White Robe Blade Artist and the rest of the people seemed to see a shadow on his body. They saw Shen Tujue make a grabbing gesture in the air, grabbing the middle part of the blood evil beast's body. Break! Jin Yuan exploded, and a small part of the blood evil beast's body was ripped off by Shen Tujue. There was a blood evil stone inside. Martial Spirit. The core master of the Fire Spirit Martial School, Qi Jinyan, yelled out. It is not a complete martial spirit. It is just a prototype. The core master of the Heartless Martial School, Pei Yudao, took a deep breath and said slowly. Martial spirit embryo. Indeed. The white bone ghost warrior had a serious look on his face. It was said that sword artists had sword intent, and blade artists had blade intent. Among all the warriors, they would stand out from the rest. However, there was a balance in everything. When anyone reached the Sea of Souls realm, they would be able to form their own martial spirit. The so-called martial spirit was the embodiment of the martial intent, while the sword intent was the sword intent. Obviously, the sword intent and the martial spirit were not equal existences. Once the sword artist trained the sword intent to completion and reached the Sea of Souls realm, the sword intent would transform into the sword spirit, and only then would the sword spirit and the martial spirit be equal. In other words, in order to become a Sea of Souls realm warrior, one would have to have enough martial intent or sword intent. Normally, the martial intent would not be able to compete with the sword intent because of its fragmentation. But, when the martial intent was extremely condensed, it would have the tendency to turn into the martial spirit, which would be the prototype of the martial spirit, which would be more powerful than the completed sword intent. Although the attacking power of the martial spirit was not as powerful as the sword spirit, the martial spirit could not only amplify the attacking power, but also the defense. This was something that the sword spirit could not compete with. The sword spirit was the embodiment of the attacking power, and it had never changed. Correspondingly, whether it was below the Sea of Souls realm or above, the sword artist represented the attacking power, but the defense was relatively weak. There were always gains and losses, and the sword artist had always been an extreme existence. Of course, the sword spirit was much harder to condense than the martial spirit, and the sword artist would find it harder to become a Sea of Souls realm warrior than the majority of the warriors. The advantages they had in the beginning would become disadvantages when they reached the Sea of Souls realm. Even so, there were still many people who chose to become sword artists, choosing the extreme attacking power. Therefore, many warriors would not refine their martial spirit when they had enough martial intent, but would directly enter the Sea of Souls realm and comprehend the sword intent. During the Sea of Souls realm, they would refine the sword intent into the sword spirit. This kind of method had a certain degree of danger, and not everyone could catch up to the top. This Shintujue has actually condensed his martial intent to such a degree. Seems like he's not far from breaking through to the Sea of Souls realm. White Bone Ghost General was well aware of the terror of the martial spirit. Even if it was just the prototype of the martial spirit, its irresistible martial intent was not something an ordinary extreme astral reaching expert could contend against. After all, before the martial intent condensed into the prototype of the martial spirit, its effects were rather scattered, and could not be reflected in the slightest. On the other hand, the sword intent condensed into the shape of a sword, concentrating its power at a single point, allowing it to be utilized at an early stage. The blade intent was the same. With this blood evil stone, my martial intent will become even more powerful. Refining the martial intent into the martial spirit might not be an impossible matter. Holding the blood evil stone, Shintujue laughed heartily. Chapter 350. Pei Yudao frowned. There were also strong and weak extreme astral reaching realm warriors. Before coming here, he did not think anyone could be his opponent, since all of his martial arts were top-rank Earth realm, and he had trained them to a very high level. His sword intent had also reached perfection, without any flaws, which was the true extreme astral reaching realm. Who would have thought that Shintujue had already formed a martial spirit before reaching the Sea of Souls realm? Although it was not complete, it was still in its embryonic form. It seems like that blood evil stone from the auction 5 years ago had given Shintujue quite a lot. Pei Yudao slowly let out a breath, his expression relaxing. Even if Shintujue had formed his martial spirit, he would not be afraid, since battles were not one-sided. Taking out his long sword, Pei Yudao found an opportunity and slashed out. Puff! 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 In the sky, sharp flashes crisscrossed. At this moment, besides Shen Tujue, no one could tell how many sword attacks Pei Yudao had thrown out. Even with the advantage of his martial spirit, Shen Tujue could only barely tell. The details were a bit blurry. The flashes disappeared, and the blood-evil beast that had just jumped out of the ground was sliced into pieces. The middle piece quickly disintegrated, revealing the blood-evil stone inside. Impressive. No wonder Pei Yudao has the title of the #1 astral-reaching realm warrior in the whole South Rudra region. Far away from the mass grave, some powerful astral-reaching realm warriors were secretly shocked, knowing that they would not have the slightest bit of power to resist under Pei Yudao's sword attack. Rock Heart Cut. Iron Bone Godly Claw. Gold Rock and White Bone Ghost General did not want to be left behind, both performing their ace attacks. The thin layer that isolated the shocking sky was cracked open, and a rich and pure yuan qi flow leaked out in all directions. As soon as it touched the air, it quickly became chaotic and violent, shattering the clouds in the sky. With a shoo, Yi Chen flew out along the direction of the yuan qi flow. Right now, I am at the top in every aspect. The only thing I am lacking is my own cultivation. Unfortunately, if I want to reach the peak level from mid-astral reaching realm, I would need at least dozens of earth astral pellets. After all, when I was only one step away from the peak level early astral reaching realm, I had already used up 2 earth astral pellets. That alchemist could only make 10 pellets a year, so I bought the remaining 5. It wasn't that Yi Chen hadn't thought of buying better pills or spirit grasses than the earthly astral pill, but unfortunately, these things were extremely rare and couldn't be bought with spirit stones. Otherwise, he would have prepared them when he was in the Martial City's trading hall. In any case, he had a lot of spirit stones with him. Forget it. It's better to cultivate on your own. Elixirs and elixirs can only be found by luck. There's no need to rush. Yi Chen, on the other hand, was not in a hurry to make a breakthrough. His cultivation base was not that powerful, but he could spend 10 times the effort to improve his martial arts and mentality, as well as his sword intent. Plus, with his current power, he was already at the peak of the astral reaching realm. The most important thing was to maintain a good mentality. Let's go check out the Bloodstone Islands. I wonder what kind of secrets that blood evil beast has. I can't let go of the blood demon and the blood sword artist either. Shoo! His shadow flashed continuously as Yi Chen's speed reached 3 times the speed of sound. The news about the blood evil beast appearing in the Bloodstone Islands had spread out in the whole South Rudra region at an unimaginable speed. Although a lot of astral reaching realm warriors did not dare to have any ideas about the blood evil beast, they would not let go of the blood evil stone in the area where the beast lived. Especially the powerful warriors from all the martial institutions, they valued the blood evil stone even more, since it was a treasure that could increase one's mental power. Qi Hua, the headmaster and the others will take care of the blood evil beast. Our target is the blood evil stone. If we run into any weaker astral reaching realm warriors, you will take care of them. On one of the islands, a group of people wearing red robes appeared. They all had the symbol of the Fire Spirit Palace on their clothes. The leader said to the handsome teenager next to him. The handsome teenager's eyebrows were like blades as he said confidently, "Second Master, don't worry. Below the late astral reaching realm, I, Yan Qihua, am not afraid of anyone." The leader was an elder in his 60s. He was very confident about Yan Qihua's power. In the 2 years after the Hidden Dragon rank competition, Yan Qihua had been training even harder. Finally, he had managed to reach the astral reaching realm half a year ago. As one of the rank 6 martial institutions, the Fire Spirit Palace did not lack pellets that could increase cultivation. With these pellets, Yan Qihua had reached the peak level of early astral reaching realm from early astral reaching realm in just 1 week. Added with his cross-realm battling power, no one below the late astral reaching realm would be able to beat him. Second Master, it is not like you do not know about Qihua's power. If he is able to join the Hidden Dragon rank competition again, Xikongsheng and Yi Chen would not be able to get the first place easily. An inner master from the Fire Spirit Palace said with a loud voice. Yan Qihua tightened his fist and thought to himself, Xikongsheng, Yi Chen, wait for me. On the third island next to them, people from the Heartless Martial School had also arrived. Li Daoxian, who was wearing blue robes, had a long sword on his waist. His aura was getting colder and colder. Wherever he looked, the astral reaching realm warriors there would have a strong reaction, as if there was a sword with a cold light pointing right at them, killing their minds. What a powerful sword intent. It should be at least 90%, right? He is indeed a rare martial genius of the Heartless Martial School. Without any surprises, there will be another Sea of Souls realm warrior in the Heartless Martial School in the near future. Yeah, Li Daoxuan's talent is without a doubt. But, the legendary Yi Chen seems to be even more powerful. He is the most powerful young sword artist in the past 1,000 years in the whole South Rudra region. Not necessarily. All martial geniuses do not want to lose. Perhaps, Li Daoxian has already reached Yi Chen, or even surpassed him. Everyone was discussing. Li Daoxian sighed. It was all thanks to Yi Chen that his sword intent could increase this fast. In his heart, he hoped that Yi Chen could become even more powerful, so that he would have the motivation to keep chasing after him. Focusing his eyes, Li Daoxian noticed the young girl in the distance. It was Bing Ling from the Ice Extreme Martial School. Bing Ling was also a peak-level early astral reaching realm warrior right now, and there was no doubt that she would not be able to reach that level. The purpose of the competitions of the Hidden Dragon rank was to motivate people. Under other people's motivations, people would usually be able to make breakthroughs faster. If there were not many martial geniuses in the whole South Rudra region, and they did not have that much talent, then it would mean that the whole South Rudra region was weak. Only competition would provide the motivation. A peaceful environment would always make people relax. And in the era of martial geniuses, relaxation would only mean falling behind. Only by continuously becoming more powerful could one maintain their position. No one would want to leave the stage in the dark. It seems like I will not be lonely anymore. Li Daoxian did not dare to underestimate Bing Ling. Falling behind for a while did not mean falling behind forever. The top 10 of the Hidden Dragon rank were all martial geniuses of the same level. On the east side of the island, people from the Sky Flying Devil Martial School are here. Indeed, Mo Yen is already a peak-level early astral reaching realm warrior. What? Murong Qingqing's cultivation is only at the mid-astral reaching realm? How is this possible? All of the astral reaching realm warriors on the island could not believe their own eyes. They all gasped, trying their best to open their eyes. Wearing purple robes and a light veil on her face, Murong Qingqing walked behind the second core master. Mo Yen, who was usually the head disciple, was half a step behind Murong Qingqing. Vaguely, there was a trace of jealousy and evil light in his eyes. If Yi Chen were here, he would be able to tell that Mo Yan's temperament had changed a little bit. Ha! What Xikongsheng? What Yi Chen? They were all surpassed by Qingqing in the end. And I, one day, will surpass Qingqing and make her my woman. Mo Yen sneered in his mind. After the Hidden Dragon rank competitions had ended, he had worked harder than anyone else, even to the point of torturing himself. What he could not understand was that Murong Qingqing had reached the early astral reaching realm with a crazy speed, and then from the early astral reaching realm to the mid-astral reaching realm. It had shocked the whole Sky Flying Devil Martial School, and she had taken away the glory that belonged to him. Somehow, something in his heart had been broken. He swore that he would take back what belonged to him sooner or later, with interest. Qingqing, how confident are you in beating Yi Chen? The second core master of the Sky Flying Devil Martial School somehow thought of Yi Chen, so he asked. Murong Qingqing's voice was light, not even 10%. Qingqing, you are too humble. You have trained your Sky Demon great art to the 13th realm. Why do you have to boost the other's morale and lower your own? Hearing Yi Chen's name, Mo Yen could not help but say. My instinct has always been very sharp. He will not stay where he is, waiting for me to surpass him. Murong Qingqing did not think that she was more talented than Xikong Sheng and Yen Qihua. Being able to train her Sky Demon great art from the 10th realm to the 13th realm was all thanks to the Sky Demon flower and the mysterious power contained in it. Once the martial art reached a higher realm, the speed of cultivation would be unimaginable. Especially since the mysterious power contained in the Sky Demon flower could increase cultivation as well, since it was made from the blood of the ancient Demon King, and what kind of cultivation did the ancient Demon King have? They were all life and death realm warriors, so how could they not have the mysterious power to increase their cultivation? The second core master of the Sky Demon Martial School shook his head with a smile. He was just like Mo Yen, thinking that Murong Qingqing was just being humble. Everyone in the Sky Demon Martial School knew about Murong Qingqing's personality. She was neither arrogant nor impatient, and would never give up. Sometimes, he felt that Murong Qingqing was very scary, as she did not have any mental weakness. Sensing the change in the atmosphere, Murong Qingqing shook her head slightly. She knew that the second master and Mo Yen would not believe her, but she really did not have the confidence to win against Yi Chen. Yi Chen's horrifying power was something she knew better than anyone else. If her mind was already close to perfection, then Yi Chen's mind had reached a level where he would not be affected by anything. Of course, it was only in the astral reaching realm, where the mind of a life and death realm warrior would definitely be more powerful than them. Let's go in. The second master took a step forward, leading everyone into the blood-red swirl. Meanwhile, people from the other islands had also entered. All the rank 6 martial institutions people had been sent out, so they must have included the blood evil beast in their plan. There should not be too much danger. After half a day, a beam of blue light flashed past, landing on the nearest island. There are a lot less people. Yi Chen frowned. In his sight, there were only a few astral reaching realm warriors on the island, 90% less than before. Taking out his great sword and wearing it on his waist, Yi Chen did not think too much. His body flashed once and disappeared, jumping into the blood-red swirl. Chapter 351. 1,000 miles away from the mass grave, near a transportation door, a human figure appeared out of nowhere. Let's go check out the mass grave first. Flying into the sky, Yi Chen looked around and soon found a reference point. His Zhen Yuan exploded, and his whole body turned into a beam of blue light, disappearing from where he was standing. 1,000 miles took less than 15 minutes to travel. When Yi Chen was less than 10 miles away from the mass grave, he pushed his soul power and spread it out in a fan shape. 1, 2, 5 extreme astral reaching realm warriors. That person's clothes have the symbol of the floating mountain martial school. He should be an extreme astral reaching realm warrior from the floating mountain martial school. Yi Chen's soul power was already very powerful. With the increase of his cultivation, the scanning range of his soul power was getting wider and wider. If he were to scan in one direction, 10 miles would not be a problem at all. Even the slightest movement would be captured by his mind. It seems a bit different. There is a huge amount of power of nothingness gathered on his body. It is the will power, which is different from the sword intent. Frowning, Yi Chen could deeply feel the power of Shen Tujue's will power. Others might not know that I killed Daoist Jin Huang, but he should know. To the Hanging Mountain, Daoist Jin Huang isn't a big deal. What's important is face. They won't let the murderer live. If word got out, how could they keep their face? Yi Chen did not need to guess. The possibility of him reconciling with the floating mountain martial school was almost zero. On the other side of the road, Blood Sword and Master Blood Demon were flying at a moderate speed. Extreme astral reaching realm warriors would not care about the blood evil stone. Our opponents are people who are below the extreme astral reaching realm. Master Blood Demon said. Blood Sword said coldly, just kill them. Killing is for sure. But, it would be best not to touch the rank 6 martial schools, unless we can kill all the evidence. Master Blood Demon was not arrogant enough to challenge a rank 6 martial school. Not to mention him, even the elders of the 9 Ghost Cult would not dare to challenge a rank 6 martial school. Of course, it would only be temporary. 2 hours later, the two arrived at the edge of the mass grave. With a single glance, Master Blood Demon saw White Bone, who was wearing a black robe. That year, the 9 evil cult had 108 great ghost generals, but in the end, only 30% of them survived. Among those who survived were the 3 strongest ghost generals of the 9 evil cult, and White Bone was one of them. Although White Bone Ghost General won't let me have the Blood Evil Stone, with him around, it's almost certain that I'll get the Blood Evil Companion Stone. Master Blood Demon revealed a faint look of joy. His gaze subconsciously shifted. Suddenly, he noticed Yi Chen several miles to his left. It's him. Blood Sword also noticed Yi Chen and sneered, seeking his own death. It's not up to him anymore. Whoosh! A blood mark flashed in the air as Blood Sword dashed towards Yi Chen at an extreme speed. Master Blood Demon was a little hesitant. After thinking about it, he followed Blood Sword Artist. Blood Sword Art. Taking out his long sword from its scabbard, Blood Sword threw a sword attack towards Yi Chen from hundreds of meters away. Yi Chen had already noticed Blood Sword and Master Blood Demon. His face was indifferent, and his eyes were cold, as if he was looking at 2 dead men. A dark blue sword light shot out from his scabbard. Chin. The air vibrated as Blood Sword's sword light was shattered. Die. Master Blood Demon held his blood-red stick with both of his hands, performing his major blood demon body separating great art. With a sweep of his stick, the air in front of him was sucked out, creating a vacuum world. The misty longsword in my soul sea should be a sword intent. I just happen to not have anyone to test it on. Holding the dark blue longsword in his right hand, it was a mid-rank thunder attributed great sword. Yi Chen had given it a name, Thunderlock. The Thunderlock sword was extremely compatible with the thunder mentality. When he threw out a sword attack, it was no longer a sword, but a thunder light, including Master Blood Demon and Blood Sword Artist. Pop! Thunder flash! Master Blood Demon was blown back with a horrified expression. His tiger palm holding the stick had been shaken to the point of numbness, and streams of blood flowed down. Blood Sword was not any better. He could only see the thunder light in front of him, and an immortal will had shattered his sword intent, affecting his protective Jin Yuan. Pooh! His sword intent shattered, and Blood Sword puked out a blood arrow. Completed sword intent. No, it is a sword spirit embryo. Blood Sword could not believe it. Yi Chen's cultivation base was only at mid-astral reaching realm, so how could his sword intent be this powerful? Moreover, it had reached the stage of condensing sword spirit. It should be known that sword spirit was much harder to condense than martial spirit. Many people might not even be able to successfully condense sword spirit after reaching the Sea of Souls realm. Condensing sword spirit was several times harder than condensing martial spirit. Correspondingly, once one managed to condense sword spirit, even if it was just a sword spirit embryo, its attacking power would reach a whole new level. Damn it! Retreat! Blood Sword was shocked and angry at the same time. It had only been a few days, but Yi Chen's power had already completely surpassed them. Thinking of what Yi Chen had said in the mass grave, an intense hatred rose up in his heart. Anyone who offended him, Blood Sword, would not be able to live in peace. This kid, he had to kill him, and his whole family. Otherwise, he would not be able to resolve the hatred in his heart. Retreat. Master Blood Demon was terrified. Everyone called him a demon, but in his eyes, Yi Chen was even more frightening than a demon. If he did not kill him, he would not be able to eat or sleep in peace. Only by escaping to White Bone's vicinity would he be able to gather a few people's power and kill Yi Qin together. Where do you think you are going? Yi Qin aimed at the two's escape route and performed his sky-shattering clouds. Pop! 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 Thunder light exploded in the sky, and the wind and clouds surged. One after another, small mountains cracked open, and the insides were scorched black. Brother White Bone, save me. Pushing his Jin Yuan to its limit, Master Blood Demon took a deep breath and sent a message to White Bone, who was miles away. White Bone turned his head suspiciously. Someone is chasing after Master Blood Demon. It is a young man. Master Blood Demon, come to me. I will make sure you are safe. White Bone made a face, not taking Yi Qin seriously at all. After getting the reply, Master Blood Demon felt a bit better. He said to Blood Sword, this kid will not live for long. Don't worry. You and I will retreat to a safe area first. He did not care about Blood Sword's life or death. If he could join the 9 Ghost Cult's camp, then it would be great. Top astral reaching realm warriors were not that common in the South Rudra region. Plus, with Blood Sword's talent, it would not be impossible for him to become a Sea of Souls realm warrior in the future. Alright. Blood Sword could guess what Master Blood Demon was thinking. He hesitated a bit, but eventually agreed. After reaching his level, the biggest hope was to reach the Sea of Souls realm. Being alone, there would be a limit to what he could do. This time, with the appearance of the Blood Evil Beast, if he could get enough Blood Evil Stones, it would be very useful for him. He might even be able to form a sword spirit. Green Lotus Sky. Green Lotus Accumulation. Putting the Thunder Sword back into its scabbard, Yi Qin took out his greenwood sword and waved it in the air. The air seemed to have been frozen, as countless green lotuses appeared out of nowhere, surrounding Blood Sword and Master Blood Demon. Open for me. Boom. The two attacked a certain spot together, opening up a gap. Swoosh. Before they could get out of the range of the sword attacks, a fist-sized green lotus shot over, carrying a powerful sword intent. It was unbelievably fast as it pierced through Blood Sword's shoulder. Blood splashed out from his back as Blood Sword screamed, "You dare to hurt me? From now on, I will kill all of your family members. Do you really think you can leave this place alive? Today, the mass grave will be your burial ground." Green Lotus Chi Transmutation. Sensing the power of the sword intent, Yi Qin did not perform his ace attacks anymore. Instead, he performed the basic sword movement of the Green Lotus sword arts. As he threw out a sword attack, a huge green lotus appeared in front of him. The lotus opened up, shooting out countless blue sword chi like a porcupine shooting out its spikes. Shoo! 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 The sword chi was like rain, spreading out in the surreal space, blocking all of the two's escape routes. Ding! Dang! Blood Sword and Master Blood Demon waved their weapons, blocking out the dense sword chi. Pooh! Pooh! These sword chi were not normal sword chi, but sword chi condensed with a powerful sword intent. Each attack contained an unimaginable power, as well as an indestructible willpower. Blood Sword's right arm felt numb for a while, as his right arm had been cut off by a sword chi. The pain made his face pale. Master Blood Demon used his Blood Demon clone to block in front of him, helping him remove some of the sword chi. With their cooperation, there were also some sword wounds on his body, making him bleed profusely. Green Lotus Mountain. The sword rain had just passed when a huge green lotus imprinted sword light tore open the surreal space, shooting out from above. The horrifying sword intent pierced through the surreal space. What a powerful sword intent! At the critical moment, a 10-meter-long bone claw blocked in front of the sword light. Gotcha! The bone claw was full of cracks, shattering in all directions. Metal mentality. There is another special mentality, which is very tenacious. Seeing the bone claw blocking the sword light, Yi Chen frowned slightly. Apart from the metal mentality, there was another mentality on the bone claw, which was as tenacious as bones, containing a life force. A black shadow flashed, and white bone appeared in front of Blood Sword and Master Blood Demon. He looked at Yi Chen with interest. Interesting. You have already condensed a sword soul embryo at such a young age. Unfortunately, your cultivation is a bit lacking. I have a pellet here. Swallow it, and I will spare your life. Shadow explosion. Yi Chen ignored White Bone's appearance, and his body exploded in all directions. Countless shadows rushed out like a flood, drowning the three within. The sword light flashed. Blood Sword and Master Blood Demon's heads flew up, their eyes wide open. The two had just let out a sigh of relief when they died completely. White Bone reached out his huge hand, tearing apart a huge number of shadows. The remaining shadows merged into one, which was hundreds of meters away from White Bone. With a gloomy look in his eyes, White Bone looked at Blood Demon and Master Blood Demon's heads and said, "You have missed your chance to live." Putting the greenwood sword back into its scabbard, Yi Chen said indifferently, "Your power is far from enough." Seeking death. White Bone opened his mouth and roared. Both of his hands tore through the air, and dozens of white claw lights shot out. They were both heavy and light at the same time. Taking out the destruction sword, Yi Chen performed the fast mentality, shattering all of the incoming claw lights. Following the sword aura, Yi Chen rushed toward White Bone. He threw out a sword attack that seemed fast but was actually slow. He switched from fast mentality to slow mentality, without any pause in the middle. What? White Bone backed out hurriedly. During the process, his body shone with a white light, and a white bone armor made of Zhen Yuan appeared on his body, blocking out Yi Chen's attack. Crack! The broken light shot out, and the speed of the Ghost General's retreat increased drastically. Chapter 352. Fast Four Swords. After the first sword, the next three swords were like lightning, each faster and heavier than the last. By the time of the last sword, Yi Chen's sword aura had accumulated to the limit. Like a river that had opened its floodgates, it poured down and heavily chopped on White Bone's chest. Puff! Even though he had condensed a layer of Zhen Yuan armor outside his body, with a mid-grade defensive armor inside, White Bone still spurted out a mouthful of blood. His chest seemed to have been pierced through. Piercing through a small hill, White Bone's face was aghast. Was there such a fast sword art? After being hit by one sword, the next three were all solid, leaving him no chance to escape. Who is this guy? He actually suppressed an extreme astral reaching expert to the point where he couldn't even retaliate. He seems quite young. Around 20 years old, wearing blue clothes. If my guess is correct, it should be Yi Chen. Yi Chen. The most powerful genius in 1,000 years of Hidden Dragon list, the one who opened the Hidden Dragon's secret realm, Yi Chen. It's only been 2 years. How can his battle power be so powerful? The commotion caused by the battle between the two was huge. All the astral reaching experts within dozens of li were attracted, especially the experts from the 6 great grade 6 sections. It's him. Yan Qihua's expression froze. In his line of sight, Yi Chen, dressed in blue clothes, had his left hand on his scabbard while his right hand was pointing the longsword. His pupils were as gentle as water, emitting a cold light. His body didn't move, but a sky-piercing sword aura locked onto White Bone, who was several li away. Why? Why is he progressing faster than me? Yan Qihua was extremely unconvinced. He thought that Yi Chen would at most reach the peak of early astral reaching realm, and even if he was more powerful than him, it would be limited. However, in these 2 years, not only had his cultivation base reached the peak of early astral reaching realm, his blade intent had also reached 80%, and his 9 twist fire spirit art had also reached the 8th transformation. In the floating mountain, no expert below late astral reaching realm would be his opponent. Who would have thought that not only would Yi Chen's cultivation base surpass his battle power would also be dozens of times more powerful. He could even suppress an extreme astral reaching realm expert. It should be known that there were only about 5 extreme astral reaching realm experts in the South River region, and including those hidden in the dark, there wouldn't be more than 10. Meanwhile, Yan Qihua was still 4 levels away from the extreme astral reaching realm, namely late astral reaching realm, powerful astral reaching realm, peak astral reaching realm, and extreme astral reaching realm. Each level was not that easy to reach. Therefore, Yan Qihua was unconvinced. How could Yi Chen become an extreme astral reaching realm expert in one fell swoop? He must have had a great adventure. Unable to find a reason to convince himself, Yan Qihua subconsciously thought that Yi Chen had succeeded because of a great adventure. Indeed. No wonder Sikong Sheng did not stay in the South River region any longer. He waited until he became the king of the young generation before leaving. It was because he knew that he could not win against Yi Chen. Only by making a breakthrough in another region would he come back and challenge Yi Chen. The king of the young generation in the South River region would not change for the next 5 years. Li Daoxian tightened his left hand on the sword hilt. Li Daoxian let out a breath, and the battle intent on his body dissipated. Only his fighting spirit was burning brighter and brighter. Sigh. The second core elder of the Heartless Martial School sighed. Although he was the core elder of the Heartless Martial School, he had to admit that no one in the young generation could compete with Yi Chen. This kind of situation had not happened for hundreds of years. So many top geniuses were suppressed by an even more powerful genius, losing their splendor. Sensing Li Daoxuan's fighting spirit, he smiled. Perhaps, this was also a good thing. In the young generation that had grown up with Xian Ho, the lowest achievement was the Sea of Soul realm, while the highest had also entered the life and death realm. There was an insurmountable mountain, which was a lifelong challenge for the young generation. The timid ones did not even have the qualifications to look up to the mountain. Only the brave ones could surpass themselves. Her whole body was shrouded in cold qi. Bing Ling's skin was as white as snow, and her black pupils were like 10,000 years old ice. There was no change in her expression, as if Yi Chen's power was already within her expectations. Therefore, she was not surprised, nor was she shaken. Her heart was crystal clear. Continue to be powerful. I will chase after you. Standing on the bloody mountain peak, Bing Ling's temperament seemed exceptionally cold. Pa! The ground cracked, and Mo Yan's whole body froze. He unconsciously rubbed the hard rock, which was corroded into powder by Zhen Yuan. Mo Yan. The second core elder of the sky-flying demon sect reminded him. Mo Yan woke up with a start, second elder. The second elder said, a momentary lead does not mean a lifetime lead. Maintain your own heart. I know. Mo Yan said so, but he felt extremely sullen inwardly. His originally natural standing posture suddenly tensed up, making him feel extremely uncomfortable. How could the second elder not hear the insincerity in Mo Yan's words? He smiled bitterly and shifted his gaze to Murong Qingcheng. Before entering the blood demon battlefield, she said that she had no 10% chance. Could it be that she had met Yi Chen before? After all, who would have thought that Yi Chen could contend against extreme astral reaching experts? It should be known that Murong Qingcheng's battle strength was equivalent to a powerful astral reaching expert, and was close to peak astral reaching experts. Not even 10% chance. In the end, Murong Qingcheng had underestimated Yi Chen. In fact, she had guessed that Yi Chen's battle strength was equal to hers, and her chances of victory were not more than 10%. This was where Yi Chen's strength lay. Not to mention that their battle strength was equal, even in a disadvantageous situation, he had the power to reverse the situation. Not to mention that his battle strength had reached the limits of astral reaching realm. Rumble. The mountain peak exploded, and white bone rushed out. I'll make you pay the price. The black robe on White Bone's body was tattered, and a surging white aura soared into the horizon, tearing apart the bloody clouds. The air around the destruction sword fiercely twisted, and the cold sword light flickered. Yi Chen said indifferently, "Do you think there's any meaning in saying these words now?" As a sword artist, Yi Chen had never lacked confidence. If he couldn't defeat his opponent at the same level, it would be his failure. What was the point of defeating the weak with the strong? The 4 sword strikes just now were nothing profound. They were merely 4 quick sword strikes linked together. One less sword strike would not reach its peak, and one more would be superfluous, turning the sword aura from strong to weak. White Bone Cage. With a cold voice, White Bone rapidly formed seals with both hands. Following the changes of the seals, the surrounding yuan qi of the heaven and earth rapidly fluctuated. Incorporeal ripples radiated in all directions, collapsing the nearby bloody mountains and spreading cracks everywhere. Clang! In the void, countless white bones formed a huge white bone cage. Each bone was as thick as a person's waist, circulating with a cold white light. At the same time, 2 mentalities pervaded the air. One was the mentality of metal, and the other was an extremely tenacious mentality. This mentality was White Bone's unique bone mentality. Human bones were not inanimate objects, and had the unique ability to slowly strengthen. Therefore, once the white bone cage was formed, it would only become more and more tenacious, becoming indestructible. Thus, Yi Chen was trapped within. Chapter 353. It seems to be the remnant of the 9 ghost cult, White Bone Ghost General. How did he come to the Blood Demon battlefield? The Blood Demon battlefield is a chaotic place, and it is also at the border of the South Rudra region. White Bone Ghost General daring to appear here in broad daylight is understandable. It would have been fine if White Bone Ghost General didn't use his ace attacks, but once he did, that unique bone mentality and white bone cage would be too eye-catching. It would be hard not to know his identity. Some of the knowledgeable people recognized White Bone Ghost General at a glance, and the people beside them also understood after being reminded. Should we surround and kill him? After killing the White Bone Ghost General, you will be able to obtain a huge reward from the 6 great sects, including a powerful martial art. Are you crazy? Don't you see that the other 4 extreme astral reaching realm warriors haven't made a move yet? Without them, White Bone Ghost General could easily escape. If he escapes, don't even think about having a good life in the future. The 6 great sects won't protect your family. You're right. Moreover, for extreme astral reaching realm warriors, the blood evil stones are more important. Wait until all the blood evil beasts are killed, then they will make a move. I don't want to be the first one. Some of the people who were tempted immediately dispelled their impulsive thoughts, feeling a lingering fear. So, it is White Bone Ghost General. Shen Tujue squinted his eyes. Back then, White Bone Ghost General had killed a lot of people from the Floating Mountain Martial School. Logically speaking, he should have made a move without hesitation. However, the blood evil beasts only appeared once in dozens of years. After this, he didn't know when he would be able to obtain enough blood evil stones. Therefore, compared to the blood evil stones, killing White Bone Ghost General could be put aside for a while. Then, his gaze landed on Yi Chen and sneered. This kid was indeed a threat. He was only 20 years old, but he was already an extreme astral reaching realm warrior. If he was allowed to continue growing, no one in the South Rudra region would be able to stop him. Humph, I'll let you live a little longer. When I make my move, it will be the day of your death. Shen Tujue tightened his fist and threw out an attack. That powerful fist power contained an indestructible martial will, blowing apart the blood evil beast in front of him. Unlike Shen Tujue, the Heartless Martial School's headmaster, Pei Yudao, had his eyes fixed on Yi Chen the whole time. Strange. His sword intent is obviously not complete, but it has the trend of condensing a sword spirit. No, This sword intent is similar to the natural chasm Gorge's sword intent, containing the same profound of immortality. Could this be the biggest reason for him to condense his martial spirit earlier? Pei Yudao was very confused. Without the complete sword intent, it should be impossible to condense a sword spirit, even if it was just the embryonic form of a sword spirit. However, Yi Chen had done it. The sword spirit itself is not that different, they are both the embodiment of the sword will. Only the Battle King 500 years ago had created a completely different kind of sword spirit, which was immortal and indestructible. With one sword strike, the powerful sword intent had existed in the gorge for 500 years, making him one of the top 3 sword artists in the history of the true spirit continent. The first 2 were sword artists from the ancient era, while the other was the #1 sword artist in the medieval era. To be able to be on the same level as them, it was enough to prove the Battle King's achievement in the sword art. Unfortunately, after that battle 500 years ago, no one knows where the Battle King had gone, or whether he was dead or alive. Pei Yudao looked at Yi Chen with a bright light in his eyes. Crack! Crack! The white bone cage was formed at an extremely fast speed. Once it was formed, it started to shrink. The sound of bones squeezing against each other could be heard continuously, which was extremely ear-piercing. Ting! The sword light shot out, and a waist-thick white bone appeared with a deep sword mark. Bone chips flew everywhere. So hard. Yi Chen was shocked. Although that sword attack just now was just a normal sword attack, under the infusion of sword intent, even a peak astral reaching expert would be heavily wounded. But, a white bone condensed from Jin Yuan had blocked it. How could he not be shocked? White Bone Ghost General laughed, give up struggling. If your cultivation base were a bit higher, you might be able to break through the white bone cage. Unfortunately, you're only a mid-astral reaching expert. Relying on the quality of Jin Yuan, you have such battle power. However, the gap between realms isn't that easy to make up for. Peak late astral reaching experts' Jin Yuan output far exceeds mid-astral reaching experts. The difference in realms was not only the difference in the quality and quantity of Jin Yuan, but also in many details. For example, the output of Jin Yuan. If a late astral reaching expert could output 10 units of Jin Yuan in a split second, then a mid-astral reaching expert could output 8 to 9 units at most. White Bone Ghost General's cultivation base had long since reached the peak late astral reaching realm. Under his all-out Jin Yuan output, he could create a huge white bone cage. If an ordinary mid-astral reaching expert or even late astral reaching expert were to be trapped inside, they wouldn't even be able to come out within 2 to 4 hours, unless White Bone stopped his Jin Yuan output. Not necessarily. Bang! One of the white bones was covered in cracks, seeming to be on the verge of collapse. What? White Bone Ghost General almost bit the tip of his tongue. The speed at which his 2 hands formed seals increased, and the abundant Jin Yuan passed through the seals, adding to the white bone cage in a strange way. The white bone cage shrunk smaller and smaller, eventually maintaining a width of 5 meters. Putting the destruction sword back into its scabbard, Yi Chen held the greenwood sword in his hand. The greenwood sword was compatible with the green lotus sword arts, complementing each other. As the sword slashed out, a green radiance pervaded the air, and a huge green lotus was imprinted on the cold sword light. With a thunderous momentum, it heavily slashed at a certain point on the white bone cage. Gotcha! This point seemed to be the weak point of the white bone cage. Finger-thick cracks rapidly spread out, and the place where the force was applied even bulged outwards. You can't break through the white bone cage. Die! White Bone Ghost General's 10 fingers cracked open, and blood spurted out. The speed of Jin Yuan output suddenly doubled, and in about 3 breaths' time, his 10 fingers pressed together, letting out a small explosive sound as he roared, white bone-piercing spikes. Puff 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 puff, several meters long bone spikes appeared in the white bone cage. Some were long, some were short, some were thick, and some were thin. Some were straight like spears, some were curved like blades, some had forks at the front, and some even produced violent explosions, sending tiny bone spikes flying in all directions. Green Lotus Chi Transformation. Explode. Being in the middle of the white bone cage, no matter how fast Yi Chen's sword speed was, it would be impossible for him to block out all the attacks coming from all directions. He was not in a hurry at all. The greenwood sword circled around his body, and countless green lotuses appeared out of nowhere. The lotuses expanded, and countless sword chi blossomed, welcoming the attacks coming from all directions. If the storm was extremely noisy, then the sound of Yi Chen blocking out the bone spikes was dozens of times louder than the storm. The concentrated sound of the spike spread out, and if it were a normal person, even just hearing the sound would make their heart speed up, and they would die on the spot. Green Lotus Accumulation. Shrinking his soul power into a 5-meter radius, Yi Chen quickly found a huge flaw while blocking out the bone spikes. This flaw existed at the same time as the white bone cage's attack, and was the side effect of the Zhen Yuan change. Of course, if the white bone ghost general did not attack Yi Chen, within 3 or 4 sword attacks, Yi Chen would still be able to break out of the cage. Cutting down the incoming bone spikes, Yi Chen stabbed his sword into the white bone. A dot of blue light lit up on the tip of the sword, and a green lotus rapidly expanded from that dot. It forcibly broke the white bone cage and exploded, shooting out towards the white bone ghost general who was hundreds of meters away. Chin. The shockwave spread out, and the white bone ghost general's seal formation was forcibly broken. The white bone cage shattered by itself, turning into Zhen Yuan and normal natural Yuan Qi, disappearing into the surreal space. After breaking out of the cage, Yi Chen did not even think before performing the 8th movement of the Green Lotus sword arts, the Green Lotus sprouting, which was also his most powerful sword movement. The sword light crisscrossed, incomparably powerful. The white bone ghost general had the thought of retreating. Yi Chen's strength was beyond his imagination. Today, he finally understood the terror of the #1 genius of South Rudra region. If he didn't retreat, he would very likely be injured if the battle dragged on. In the eyes of numerous astral-reaching experts, he would definitely be the target to be rewarded. He had no choice but to consider it. Using killing moves one after another, the white bone ghost general counteracted the sword light. Not good. The sword light was shattered and turned into an even more powerful sword light. Caught off guard, the white bone armor on white bone's body exploded. The mid-rank defensive great armor neutralized a part of the power, and the rest of the power poured into his body. Puff. Spurting out a mouthful of blood, the white bone ghost general had at least 4 or 5 of his ribs broken, and one of them had pierced into his internal organs. Even the slightest movement would cause a heart-wrenching pain. Towering Green Lotus. The Green Lotus germination was just a part of the process. The second half of the Green Lotus skysword was the essence of the 8th style. The sword beam shone brightly like a towering tree, devouring white bone. It rushed into the mountain a mile away and quickly took root. From afar, the gigantic sword beam looked like a towering tree, and white bone was at the roots of the tree, looking extremely pathetic. Blood spurted out from his 7 orifices as he shattered the sword light. Just as he was about to rush out of the mountain, a blood light suddenly flickered, and a slender blood shadow pierced through the ghost general's head. By the time the slender blood shadow left, the ghost general had already turned into a dried corpse, without any signs of life. The ghost general of a generation was ultimately killed by the blood evil beast. It could not be denied that it was an irony. Huff. Letting out a breath, Yi Chen relaxed his taut nerves. The white bone ghost general was different from the blood demon. He was a veteran extreme astral reaching expert. Even if his battle power had greatly increased and he didn't fear any extreme astral reaching expert, killing the white bone ghost general would still be a very difficult task. After killing the white bone ghost general, the color of the blood evil beast became increasingly rich. It unexpectedly swept towards Yi Chen, its wriggling body streaking through the air without a single air-piercing sound. Die! At this moment, Yi Chen didn't fear the blood-evil beast at all. Without retreating or dodging, he quickly slashed out with his sword. Puff! The sword light cleaved open the blood-evil beast's body. However, the blood-evil beast's recovery power was even higher than the blood demon's, and it soon recovered to its original state. Yi Chen was already mentally prepared. The seventh style of the Green Lotus sword art, Green Lotus Sky, froze the blood-evil beast's body. Countless green lotuses turned into sword chi, cutting the blood-evil beast into nothingness. Pata! A blood-red stone fell off. Yi Chen could see the extraordinariness of the stone, so he tried to absorb it. Little bastard, you don't have the qualifications to obtain the blood-evil stone. Leave it to me, Shen Tujue. A huge hand burning with Shen Yuan pierced through the air, grabbing the blood-evil stone before retreating. It was precisely Shen Tujue, who had seized the opportunity. Chapter 354. Let go. How could Yi Chen allow Shen Tujue to snatch his things? Seeing that the Zhen Yuan giant hand was about to return to its starting point, Yi Chen didn't have time to think. His left index finger pointed in the air, and a deep azure sword chi shot out. It was precisely the increasingly powerful Green Lotus sword chi. Ping! The Green Lotus sword chi cut on the Zhen Yuan giant hand one after another, bursting forth with Zhen Yuan sparks. The intense shockwave collapsed the nearby mountains. Come back. The Zhen Yuan giant hand shattered, and the infant fist-sized blood-evil stone turned into a bloodline, falling in Yi Chen's hand. What a fierce evil chi! As soon as the blood-evil stone entered his hand, a strand of evil chi drilled into Yi Chen's mind, attacking him again and again. Fortunately, Yi Chen's sword intent was extraordinary, easily guarding his mind and soul. No matter how the evil chi attacked, he remained unmoved. The surrounding astral reaching experts were stupefied. What kind of person was Shen Tujue? He was the core elder of Floating Mountain, one of the extreme astral reaching experts of South River region. With a single word, his subordinates could annihilate a grade 7 sect. Under Sea of Soul Realm, there was almost no one and no power in South River region that could threaten him. And now, Yi Chen actually dared to resist Shen Tujue. It should be known that Shen Tujue was different from White Bone Ghost General. The latter was a loner, while the former was peak in both strength and power. The spirit of South River region's #1 genius is indeed extraordinary. With such spirit, as long as he doesn't die, he will certainly have great accomplishments in the future. At this moment, the powerful astral reaching experts of Blood Demon Battlefield recognized Yi Chen for the first time, and were impressed by his bearing and courage. Shen Tujue's face alternated between green and red as he said in a low voice, "Little bastard, don't think that you can escape with your life just because you have the strength of an extreme astral reaching expert. I'll let you know right now what it means to be a mantis trying to stop a chariot." As his voice faded, Shen Tujue's body shook, causing the void to sway as he threw a punch at Yi Chen. Rumble. This punch contained the unparalleled heavy concept of earth. Under the reinforcement of Yi Chen's martial will, the air exploded layer by layer and extended rapidly toward Yi Chen. As he floated in midair, Yi Chen wasn't afraid in the slightest. With a flick of his wrist, sword lights rose explosively, and one could faintly see that the surface of every sword light of various sizes was branded with a lifelike azure lotus. Dong! The earth split apart. Yi Chen and Shen Tujue both slid back a dozen steps, the tyrannical shock waves constantly pressuring their bodies. What a strong will! It's like a great river. This was the first time Yi Chen had felt the power of will from a martial artist. It was different from the extremely condensed sword intent. Although the martial artist's will was integrated into one, it had a huge range, and it had the feeling of suppressing others with its power. Because of this, although Yi Chen's willpower was inferior to Shen Tujue's, he was able to contend against his opponent in terms of offense. Shintuju's eyebrows twitched. 5 years ago, he had obtained a blood evil stone, and the total amount of his martial will far surpassed other martial artists of the same level. Although his martial will wasn't as concentrated as his sword will, no matter what, his cultivation and realm surpassed Yi Chen's. Interesting. If you can receive my next attack, I'll let you die a quick death. I'll only kill half of the people related to you. Shintuju fiercely raised his chi and pushed his hands upwards. A vast and terrifying power rose up, causing the surrounding area to tremble and the air to distort. Seeing Shintuju's strange state, the Fire Spirit Hall's Grand Elder Qi Jin Yen was somewhat puzzled. It seemed that his opponent was going to use that strange martial art. However, was Yi Chen worth it? In Qi Jin Yan's view, besides his sword intent and sword moves, Yi Chen didn't have any other strong points. Dragon Elephant Strength Technique. As Shintuju's voice resounded, waves of majestic dragon roars and elephant trumpeting sounds that ordinary people couldn't hear came from his body. Floating in the air, Shintuju's aura rose endlessly, as if he was the center of this area, the king of this area. Kacha. Stretching out his right hand, Shintuju exerted strength in his arm, uprooting a nearby mountain that was thousands of meters tall, and throwing it towards Yi Chen. The scene of a mountain flying at several times the speed of sound was too terrifying. In the air, thunder and lightning intersected and dark clouds covered the sky, as if the end of the world had arrived. All sound was isolated outside, nothing could be heard, nothing could be felt, and even time seemed to have stopped. In the distance, Mo Yen sneered. As an elder of the sky-flying demon martial school, he had some understanding of the top martial arts of all the rank 6 martial schools. The martial art that Shintuju had used was not unique to the floating mountain martial school, but a powerful supplementary martial art that he had obtained by chance. It was said that once this martial art was used, the power would increase by 10 times, and it would have the power of Dragon Elephant. Tearing mountains and splitting the earth would be a piece of cake. 5 years ago, Shintuju was an extreme astral reaching expert second only to Pei Yudao. Now that his power has increased by a lot, he has even surpassed Pei Yudao. Yi Chen will definitely not be able to block him. Mo Yan's eyes were burning with passion, looking forward to the scene of Yi Chen being crushed into a bloody pulp. Dragon Elephant Strength Technique. For some reason, Yi Chen thought of the unknown fist art that he had bought in the Martial City Trading Palace. The first 2 words of that fist art were also, Dragon Elephant. The flying mountain was too big, covering more than 10 li. Even if Yi Chen's speed was faster, he wouldn't be able to avoid it, and would instead be at a disadvantage. Therefore, facing such a huge monster, Yi Chen could only do one thing, and that was to face it with all his strength. Shu. Chin. Putting the greenwood sword back into its scabbard, the thunder sword came out of its scabbard. The green lotus Shen Yuan inside Yi Chen's body was pushed to the limit, and the strength that he normally didn't use was also brought out, gathering on his right arm. With a creaking sound, Yi Chen's right arm swelled up. The powerful muscles pushed up his clothes, filling it with a layer of jade color. Sky-shattering clouds. Exerting strength from his waist, the power traveled along his spine to his right arm. Yi Chen held the sword with both hands, and the sword carried the might of thunder as it heavily chopped towards the mountain. Crack! The sword light was like a thunderbolt, hitting the weakest part of the mountain. No sound came out, because it had already been annihilated. In the sky, one after another, soundless thunder rumbled down like rain. In the next second, the sky was filled with broken rocks like a fountain, spraying towards the sky. Each piece contained an astonishing amount of electricity. Blocked it? Mo Yan's gloating expression stiffened. Shintuju's expression froze, then he roared, "Let's see how you block it this time." Rumble. 2 mountains were uprooted, smashing towards Yi Chen from both sides. Chop. Green lotus seizing light. The greenwood sword was unsheathed, and Yi Chen chopped out with the thunder sword in his right hand, while his right hand raised the greenwood sword to block. A several-meter-wide green lotus appeared in the air, looking vivid and lifelike. A sharp green chi spread out, forming a tough defensive area. Buzz! The mountain on the right shattered, while the mountain on the left smashed into the green lotus. From afar, Yi Chen's figure could not be seen at all. After all, compared to the 1,000-meter-tall, several-meter-wide mountain, the several-meter-wide green lotus and the 2-meter-tall Yi Chen looked very small. Without considering the result, it could be described as a mantis trying to stop a chariot. The greenwood sword trembled, and the momentum of the mountain was reduced, bouncing back in the opposite direction. After smashing the flying mountain into pieces with a palm, Shintuju was just about to make his move. Suddenly, a slender blood shadow scuttled out from a relatively larger boulder inside the mountain. This blood shadow's body was like a snake, but its front end began to have the shape of a beast. There were even 2 tiny front limbs growing out of its body. Semi-beast blood evil beast. Among the blood evil beasts, the beast blood evil beasts were the most powerful, and the demi-beast blood evil beasts were second. Normal blood evil beasts had long bodies. In terms of battling power, any extreme astral reaching realm warrior could beat it. Shoo! The demi-beast blood evil beast shot out, trying to devour Shintuju. Not good. Shintuju was very clear about the power of the demi-beast blood evil beast, which was powerful enough to compete with the most powerful extreme astral reaching realm warriors. As for the beast blood evil beasts, no one under the Sea of Souls realm could rival them. They were rather nature-defying existences, and could not be easily seen. Otherwise, even 5 or 6 extreme astral reaching realm warriors would not be its opponent. Dragon Elephant Shield. With a wave of his hands, the air in front of Shintuju's chest twisted. A mighty dragon roar and elephant cry soared into the sky, blocking out the demi-beast blood evil beast's attack. Boom! After his defense was shattered, Shintuju's face turned pale as he was blown back. It is a demi-beast blood evil beast. The white-robed blade artist's breathing accelerated. Gold Rock chuckled, the blood evil stone inside the demi-beast blood evil beast is 3 to 4 times more effective than normal stones. As long as I can get one, condensing the blade soul would not be a problem at all. I might even be able to condense the blade soul in one go. Then, reaching the Sea of Souls realm in the future would not be that hard anymore. The blood evil stone was too important for astral reaching realm warriors. Without enough blood evil stone to refine their willpower, they would have to rely on their own efforts. Warriors who were not that talented would never be able to reach the Sea of Souls realm. Therefore, this blood evil stone was something that the white-robed blade artist had to obtain. Silent Sword. Pei Yudao was the first to attack. He immediately used the ace attack of the emotionless sword arts. The sword light was extremely condensed, and it was completely silent. Shoo! A sword mark appeared on the demi-beast blood evil beast's forehead. Such a powerful defense. Frowning, Pei Yudao made up his mind and burned his Jin Yuan to its limit. His body flashed as he charged toward the demi-beast blood evil beast. Pei Yudao, this blood evil beast does not belong to you alone. The other 3 extreme astral reaching realm warriors also attacked. This blood-red stone is not a simple item. It has the effect of training the willpower. And, this blood evil beast is several times more powerful than normal ones. The blood-red stone inside its body should be even more effective. I cannot let it go. Willpower and sword intent were 2 different concepts. A powerful will did not mean a powerful sword intent. But, a powerful will meant that the potential of the sword intent would be correspondingly powerful, and the speed of training would be a lot faster. Moreover, Yi Chen had some understanding of Shintuju as willpower. It should be pure willpower, and there would not be many changes. Once the blood-red stone landed in their hands, it could easily increase their willpower, unlike the sword intent, which had a transformation process. Therefore, the blood-red stone could increase the power of Shentujue and the others even faster. It would be a bit difficult for sword artists to use it. Understanding the key, Yi Chen started to calculate, planning to snatch the food from the tiger's mouth. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.